Welcome back to the Witchwood tier list arena thing with the Lightforge tier list at thelightforge.com. And I am Adwicta, that is Merps. We are moving forward on this because I am fading. It is 12:20 and I really want to be in bed before 2 a.m. and I have tier list stuff to do after this.
All right.
From the bugs that we have discovered while doing these video series. We're in Warlock now. We're just two classes left. So, Merps, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Warlock has lost going from Mammoth to Raven?
Yeah, this has been an interesting year for Warlock, right? Like they have gained so much, and for a little bit of time at the beginning of this past year, they were at the very top, right? They were dominating in a way that we have not seen any class dominate ever. And so what they're losing is just they're losing a lot of tools. And once again, it is MSG, the boogeyman, the expansion that just gave some classes like way too many options. But if you look at sort of the themes, right, like what we've been doing, what Warlocks are missing going into the rotation are a lot of removals. They have been sort of the king of removals for a while now, but they lose some really important removals. So if we just look at hard removal, they lose Blast Crystal Potion, right? And that was just, they target anything, and for an efficient 4 mana, they get rid of it. And they're losing so much AoE. On the larger side, they're losing Doom, and then they're losing Fellfire, Potion, and Abyssal Enforcer, right, for a smaller AoE. So they're losing like a lot of removal, and they're also losing a couple of I would say decently important one drops in which for a class that can easily refill their hand. So they're losing Possessed Villager and they're losing Malchezaar's Imp, both very above average one drops that played into sort of the style that they wanted to play. So I think that's a good summary of what they're losing. Mostly just a ton of AoE and removals.
So they may be losing a ton of AoEs and removals, but as you see from the left-hand column, they still have plenty. They're fine. They have Defile, they have Twisting Nether, they have Despicable Dreadlord, Shadowflame, Siphon Soul, Hellfire, Feeding Time, Mortal Coil, Soulfire. It just goes on, and they're all very highly rated cards, like right. Shadowbolt even. They're fine. They basically lost their over removals. They had, you remember we had this discussion before where you're like, you can't take all these double-sided board clears, especially early on, because you're going to be offered too many of them. You're going to end up with too many. And that was true. And now that they've lost a bunch of these, it's probably no longer true, but they're still fine. They still have more than enough removals and board clears and things that you would want. So I think Warlock's in a good place right now when it comes to the removals. Where they're not in a good place, though, are the minions. Not because Warlock minions themselves are bad. They're not good, but they do okay. They have a Voidwalker at 121. You have this Flame Imp 135, Ogre Homunculus 137, Kobold Librarian 173. As far as minions on curve goes, this is not bad for a class. The problem with Warlock is really that the neutral cards are not going to keep up. Because the 2-drops are so bad, and you're going to have to reach so much in this new drafting system to get decent 2s, you're not going to be able to make a very good Zoo deck because you're not going to have the 2-drop support. And remember how good 3-drops are. So you're going to be in this system where you start on 3 and you maybe have some 1s, and then who knows if you're actually ahead compared to your opponent. And then you're going to have a lot of cards that are kind of heavy, and then your hero power is not going to be as useful, etc., right? There's going to be, I feel like this meta is going to be a little counter to what Warlocks like to do, even though they otherwise power level-wise would seem fine. And what you're going to see in Witchwood, and we'll start looking at some actual Witchwood cards here, is going to be a little problematic as well. Not that they're bad cards, but that they're all kind of cards.
Yeah.
Ratcatcher is a 116. That's your highest card. This is the class with the lowest, like where their highest new card is the lowest. Like they have the least premium cards. Remember how we made fun of Druid for having only one card over like an 85? Well, Druid had a 150 card. That's a really good card. Here, you're just going to get a bunch of like middling cards for Warlock. So Ratcatcher is a 2/2 rush, which is not all that great for 3 mana. But the battlecry says destroy a friendly minion and gain its attack and health. So it effectively creates a much bigger rush minion. It takes stats that don't have initiative, whether because you played it on this turn or because you had already used its initiative, and it gives it initiative again. And it could also be used to kill eggs and, cubes and all sorts of fun things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is a card in which you can look at it sometimes as like a wind speaker almost, right? Kind of similar to that, in which you essentially give a minion that has attacked the ability to attack again, not through like Wind Fury, but just consolidation, right? And yeah, you're really trying to make up stats here because the 3 mana 2/2 rush does very, very little. And look, sometimes it's enough. Like just what was it? Because Warlocks have a 3 mana, deal 2 damage spell, which sometimes
Drain Soul.
Yeah, Drain Soul. Like that's used sometimes. So this can be used sometimes as well. But yeah,
but what you really want to do is like actually eat a minion, right? Like you eat your own minion that has high health, and then you rush another minion, and your final minion still survives. Like that's what you want to be doing with this, even if you don't synergize it by like killing something you want to kill.
And also remember that it doesn't gain property, so you can't like eat a gastropod in order to kill something off. So
you just eat something with a death rattle that you want to kill.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Ratcatcher. The next card, there was a little bug. I hope it's fixed now. Nope, still not fixed. Curse of Weakness. It's showing as a 0 here. It's actually a 115. And it is 2 mana, Echo. Give all minions -2 attack until your next turn. Until your next turn. That's very, very important. I think everyone reads it wrong in the beginning. I read it wrong in the beginning. Merps read it wrong in the beginning. So what that means is it's not really like Pint-Sized Potion, where you reduce your opponent's attack for 1 turn and then you like kind of attack into it and you don't like take damage. It means your opponent can't do anything with it on their next turn either. Because minions with 0 attack can't even attack. Or you can reduce their attack to a place where it's not even meaningful, or you can just use it to prevent lethal.
Yep.
Like, it's highly, highly useful. Now, it is still temporary, so you really have to take advantage during this time, but you can get way more tempo during this one back and forth turn, right? On your turn and then on your opponent's turn, than the 2 mana. So, whereas Echo is almost always anti-tempo, or like barely keeping up with tempo, this is the only Echo card that is actually positive tempo, depending on how many enemies your opponent has.
Yeah.
So, like, if they have, like, let's say 3 minions of decent attack size, then every 2 mana reduces 6 stats. It's pretty insane.
Pretty good. So, yeah. Okay. We have that. Are the other scores good to go?
Yeah.
All right.
This one, this one's still not good to go. It's still showing as a 0, but.
Oh, yeah. So after that, we have Duskbat, which is a 3 mana 2/4 beast. Battlecry of your hero took damage this turn. Summon 2 1/1 bats. Dealing damage to your hero is not that easy. You could tap and play this, but then once again, it's like, you're tapping. If you were able to damage your hero in some other way and you play this, like that's really good, right? You just got out a really
I don't know. You gain 1 mana.
Right. And
like,
by really
this
good,
is just
like,
a necromancer with 1 mana less. It's not that good, even if you trigger it.
Well, you also get Beast Warlock.
Oh god! But like the point is, 1, you can't trigger it on turn 3. So you're only going to trigger it like on some much later turn, at which point you gaining 1 extra mana is not the best thing in the world.
Right. So 110 for that.
It's good, right? It's better than like a 2/4 is okay. And you can trigger it very reliably in the later turns when you want to like hero power anyway, for example.
Yep. All right. Next we have Fiendish Circle, which is 4 mana, summon 4 1/1 imps. Are we just gonna get this for every class? Like, you know, like we had it for Shaman. We're getting this for Warlock. Is like, is Mage next? You know, is Paladin had it with kind of stand against
darkness,
right? Like just whatever mana it is, summon that many 1/1s. We might.
Oh, what's the Shaman 1/1 totem? That'd be cool.
The Shaman 1/1 totem?
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, I forget what it's called.
Right? Like I can think of the name of all the other ones, but not that one.
But why is that important? They summon like the Murlocs.
Yeah, but you can also make a card and make it summon totems, and then you have totems.
So instead of just okay. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Totally.
Anyway, Fiendish Circle, not much to say except if you ever need to sacrifice some imps, here you go. That's really what it's used for. You're getting a bunch of imps so you can sacrifice them for stuff.
Things. Yeah.
And by things I mean for dark packs.
Yep. After that we have Death Web Spider at 102, 5 mana, 4/6 beast. Battlecry, if your hero took damage this turn, gain lifesteal. If you gain lifesteal, it's good. Like that's something that Warlocks really like. But once again, your hero has to take damage. So
like on the turn you play it. So if you play it on curve, no lifesteal for you. You have to play a turn 7, and whenever you're playing it, if your hero's taking damage because you are hero powering, you're anti-tempoing.
Right. I mean, you do sort of recoup a little bit of what you lost in that because you do like lifesteal, right?
No, but I mean, you recoup in terms of health, which is card advantage. Yeah. You don't recoup in tempo.
Yeah. So you recoup something, like you gain something more than just the hero power. But yes,
Merps. The ability that requires you to hero power gains something.
Right, and obviously there are ways for you to activate this. Like there are ways for you to activate this that are not hero power.
Yep.
But those are really
there's not that many of them anymore.
There's not that many.
Yeah, no. Like a lot of them left the meta. Like you even notice in the like prior meta compared to the beginning of KNC, just how less frequently the spellstone gets triggered.
Yeah, like
it used to be every spellstone dealt 7 damage and it was really annoying. And then they adjusted the offering rates, and all of a sudden in 10.4, not that many 7 damage spellstones anymore from Warlock.
Yep. All right. So now that the spider is done, we go to Witchwood Imp. 1 mana, 1/1 stealth, death rattle, give a random friendly minion +2 health. Not bad. Like, you know, it is. You get to sort of hide this, and then whenever you need the damage, push it in, and then you give something else +2 health. Like, not bad at all. So that's kind of why it's where it's at 95.
Yeah, like it's a legit 1 mana minion in a way that normally 1 mana 1/1s aren't. And that's because it's a death rattle and it's one that you can control, right? Like your opponent can't just ping it away. Your opponent can't like run something into it when you don't have a minion on the board. You get to control it, which means you can just play a minion that turn and it will gain the 2 health.
Yep.
Dark Possession, 90. Deal 2 damage to a friendly character and then discover a demon. So this is like the normal discover things, right? Where you pay 1 mana and you discover something. Except you have to, because you're Warlock, you also have to pay an additional price. This is like that overload one, where because you're a shaman, you also overload 1 mana. So dealing 2 damage to your face, for example, is pretty bad. But you can also deal 2 damage to something you were going to trade anyway, for example. So in those situations, it would be just a normal 1 mana discover something. And the demon selection you can talk about because you looked into it.
it's
Pretty impressive.
pretty impressive, right? A lot of good demons, and you have some bad demons that are leaving, right? So good demons. I don't have the list in front of me, but obviously, you have Void Lord, you have uh, God, I'm missing the name of the charge. I'm really tired. Like I can't remember a lot of things right now. What was it? Anyways, you also have the 5 mana dread. Holy cow! I really am forgetting all of the cards. Like that's how tired I am. But yes, anyways, a lot of the obviously Warlock specific demons are really good. You also have Dread Infernal and
Twitch chat says it's Doomguard.
Doomguard. How did I forget Doomguard? Anyways, you also have like some pretty impactful neutral demons like Void Ripper. Like that's a demon,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you just want that flip effect, right? So that's like just looking into this thing. It's like when I first looked at Finders Keepers, I was like, okay, why am I paying that much? And I was like, oh right, overload
Yeah.
cards are really freaking good.
Yeah.
And same thing here. It's like, yeah, you pay a cost, but what you discover a lot of times will be really, really, really good.
It's not just a random minion, and it's not because of the demon tag. Just the pool is good.
Yeah.
But still, it's 90. It's not terrible. It's not rated that high because even though what you discover is good, that 2 damage does matter for Warlock. Or it becomes not as flexible of a 1 mana to spend. And you don't want your hand getting any more awkward. Okay, Blood Witch next, 87 points. It's a 3/6, which is pretty good as far as stat distribution goes. Should be higher, but then at the start of your turn, deal 1 damage to your hero. So good for triggering some of the stuff. You can see the synergies kind of coming into play, right?
Yeah.
With the like Dusk Bat and the Death Web Spider, and potentially your Spellstone. But you got to get those synergies together. If you don't have those synergies together, this guy just deals damage to you, and you are a Warlock. You are sensitive to having damage dealt to you.
Yep.
So not that great of a card, but could be a very good card in the right deck.
Could
Definitely
be
something
right.
to watch. Yeah.
You get the double Spellstone, you get a few of these new cards, and you're presented with a Blood Witch. You're like, oh, I'm definitely picking this, just because it's that good.
So that's all the Warlock cards, and as you can see, they all go from this band of the lowest is 87, the highest is 116. Very, very balanced. All the cards are playable, they're usable, they go in decks and they do things, and so Warlock's going to be a pretty balanced class. It's going to have its removals. It's going to have a okay-ish kind of curve. And it's going to be interesting to figure out how to play this class. But it could do what it's meant to do, which is to be the other side of the mage, right? Like, whereas the mage power is tempo and reach, this is card advantage and anti-reach.
Yep.
Same selection of spells and stuff.
Okay.
AoEs. All right, so that's Warlock. Let's look at the legendaries really quickly. Lord Godfrey is a stupid card. It's 210 points. This is higher than Houndmaster Shaw because it is super defile, and you get a 4/4, and it's only 7 mana.
Right. So it's essentially like it's not as flexible as Defile because it's 7 mana. But okay, so what's the cost of a 4/4 body? It's like
4 mana, 3 mana.
It's like 3.5 mana.
Yeah.
Right. It's like 3.5 mana. So for another 3.5 mana, you get Super Defile.
The thing with Super Defile is that it's so much easier to trigger the next death because you're dealing 2 damage for a death. Like that matters so much.
Yeah. It's you're literally doubling the effect of the Defile, right? And Defile is already an insanely good card.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing holding this back from being like the best card of all time is the fact that it still is a little bit clunky at 7 mana. Like higher costing things are going to be a little bit awkward.
All right. Glinda Krauskin is the other legendary. We've rated a 118. It's kind of hard to rate. It's a 6 mana 3/7, so it's a little understated. Minions in your hand have Echo. So yeah, I mean, it means you could do a minion like probably twice, or if it's a low costing minion, you could play it more times. Where it gets its real value is if it survives a turn and then you have a 1 mana minion. or even if it doesn't survive a turn and you have like 10 mana and you just keep repeating this 1 mana minion and whatever ability the 1 mana minion has, because Echo gets more and more insane the lower mana it is.
Right.
So there's different ways to combo it. Depends on your deck, but you have to have the right minions, or else you're just getting a little extra card advantage, and that's not worth it.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's Warlock. Any thoughts on how Warlock's going to play, or how you think they'll do in this meta?
No, I mean, look, they lose a lot of removals, but like you said, they still have plenty of removals to spare. What it does do, and I think the most important cards that they're losing is, or I would just say the most important card, period, is Blast Crystal Potion, right? Like they lose this like just sort of no strings attached hard removal. And yeah, they also lose the Fellfire Potion, but sometimes you could replicate that with like a Shadow Flame, right? For example. But Blast Crystal Potion is one of those cards in which it was very unique when they got it, and they haven't gotten anything since that really has that effect. So they're left with Siphon Soul, right? And that, like, I think that's important, and that definitely changes sort of the risk assessment when you play against a Warlock, and also more importantly, and I don't think we've talked about this a lot. The Cabal cards are all gone, which means Cabal Chemist is gone, which means that 1 in 7 chance of Cabal Chemist getting a Blast Crystal Potion is gone. So not only does that, like, is Blast Crystal Potion going away for Warlocks, Blast Crystal Potion was never just a Warlock card. It was also a Priest and Mage card, right? So it gets rid of Blast Crystal Potion essentially for all of those classes, which I think is a very welcome idea.
Cool. And that's Warlock. It's gonna be pretty interesting how this class develops in Witchwood. I don't have a very clear direction of where it goes, but if you're facing them, definitely I agree. The lack of hard removal is gonna be a real thing. And it kind of resets Warlock back to where they were in Classic with the single hard removal. Yep. All right, and that's it from us on Warlock. Warriors next. We're about to make it. It's tier list will be at thelightforge.com right at the beginning of the day on Thursday, before the expansion actually arrives. And give us a follow, give us a sub. We are the Grinning Goat, and we will see you in the next video for Warrior. All right, I need a little break.
No.